Hello and welcome to Introduction to Electrodynamics. In last section, we discussed the gradient, where we define the gradient as gradient of a temperature three-dimensional temperature function. So that was partial t over partial x plus partial t over partial y plus partial t over partial z. So I can write this as x partial over partial x plus y partial over partial y plus z partial over partial z, and then a scalar function which is function of x, y, and z. So we have this the definition of gradient. We put the unit vectors on other side because the derivative of the unit vector is going to be 0, so we don't want to make it 0, so we put the unit vector on the other side. So this quantity, which is operating on scalar function t, is called the del. So we define del is equal to x partial over partial x plus y partial over partial y plus z partial over partial z. So del is in fact, or some used to call it delta, is vector operator. Is not just a vector, it's a vector operator. And for gradient, as we saw, it's operating on a scalar function, so it defined the quantity of gradient. So as it is a vector operator, or is like a vector, so we can perform all three different multiplication as we did for vectors. So the three different multiplication for vector was, the first was multiplication by a scalar, right? Multiplication by a scalar. So it was like alpha a is vector, alpha is a scalar. The second was the multiplication of two vectors, the dot product. So the dot product was, if we have two vectors, so dot product is dot b. And the third was multiplication by cross. So a cross b. So we have three different type of vector multiplication. So same thing can be done with the del operator or delta operator. So the first thing is the scalar multiplication or multiplication by scalar. So we have operator delta, which is a vector. So that the first kind of multiplication is del t, which is gradient. So we are multiplying delta on a scalar function t. So second kind will be the dot with some vector quantity. So say we have a vector function v, so it will become del dot v, and it is called the divergence. We will see in detail what is divergence. And the third type of multiplication is vector multiplication. We have a vector function, again v, and we are trying to take the cross, so del cross v. So this is another type of multiplication, and it's called the curl. Again, we will see in detail what does curl mean and what does divergence mean. We already did the gradient, so in next two subsection we will be discussing divergence and curl. See you in my next video. Be sure to subscribe. Thanks. Bye.